What's up, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to another episode of the Brick Lounge. Once again, I'm your host, Eric. Joining me are my wonderful co-hosts, John and Kipp. What is up, gentlemen? How are we doing tonight?
What's going
Hey
on?
guys, how's it going? I'm excited for tonight. I've been gone for a little while. I'm back.
Yeah, we have had quite the string of events since Atlanta BrickCon, a few weeks ago, and that actually leads us into our guest for this episode, who my personal first introduction to was at his booth at Atlanta BrickCon, and that is Ethan of KTown Bricks. Ethan, how's it going?
How's it going?
Good, good, good. So, Ethan, I'm going to go ahead and speak for myself on this real quick. I'd never been familiar with KTown Bricks until Atlanta BrickCon, but I'm a big Fallout guy, and I noticed you had some Fallout stuff there.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of really cool products that you have to offer. And just full disclosure here, Ethan and KTown are not sponsoring us. We're a big fan of what he brought to the show, and wanted to talk to him and get to know him a little bit as a friend. So,
Yeah,
John,
his stuff's amazing. So
flat out. So Ethan, tell us a little bit about yourself, man. What's been going on in your Lego life recently?
Yeah, so a lot of K-Town. We were at the show in Atlanta. We've got Brick World Indie coming up soon in 2 weeks. Just, always on that Lego grind. We got more Fallout stuff coming in late March, I think. Some new figs, some restocks of some popular ones from last year. Always more medieval stuff. Always something new at K-Town.
I saw, speaking of that Fallout stuff, I saw a video not that long ago of a dude that's never seen it before, but apparently the video is like over a year old, of building like a whole vault structure.
Yeah.
And I saw some elements in there that I now know may have come from you.
Yeah, we've got a couple of guys who've been doing like vault dioramas. I saw a couple that did, like, they came up with a standard and did like different people did different rooms. They all stacked together. They had like an elevator system, kind of like the mobile, the Fallout Shelter app. And they always tag us on that stuff, and I love it. If I ever get the time, I'm gonna sit down and like build some stuff for us. I want to build K-Town Kingdom, and then I'll build some vault stuff too.
K-Town Kingdom. That just
that would
that
be
rolls
so
off the
cool.
tongue so nicely, man.
I've got a table that's like earmarked for it, and I have like one gray base plate started. That's all I've got. I don't get a whole lot of time to build these days, but one of these days I'll sit down and build K-Town Kingdom. I'll probably have to bring all my Lego parts to the shop, and I'll just like sit in the floor building Lego, like while everybody else is printing stuff, and they'll be like, "Hey, what do we do?" I'm like, "Don't bother me. I'm building."
No.
This is inspiration.
I'm not here today.
Yeah.
Yeah, that one gray base plate, that's like your land claim. That's like, this
Yeah.
space is dedicated for a project that will occur, but
Yeah.
long time works in the process. So
I think I built that gray base plate like 2 years ago, and have like slowly stolen parts from it for other things, because I build all of our scenes that we do on Instagram, and the idea was to build this K-Town Kingdom, and then we need product photos and a banquet hall. Bam, we have it. We need pictures with a castle in the background. Bam, we have it. That kind of thing, but haven't gotten around to finishing it.
that's awesome.
Or
Building for
hardly even starting
the
it.
building for the business, though.
Yeah.
That's not bad.
Yeah.
That's cool. Well, John, Kipp, what's been going on in your guys' world?
Well, I just recently found out that a new Bricks and Minifigs, the one in Fort Mill, is really close to where we've already been once before, Eric, which is the Pepper Company that we go to. It's literally on the same street, about 5 doors
Really?
down. Yeah. So
Is it open now?
not yet. It said coming soon in the window, so we're
Okay.
waiting. We're waiting.
All right.
So that's
I'm
my
driving-
big
I'm
news
driving that
in
way
my
this
We'll be
Lego
reaching
life.
out to them. You'll be there on the grand opening day, I'm sure.
Oh yeah, we'll be there grand opening. But that's the most recent thing. I've been dealing with a bunch of stuff recently, but that's my recent bit of fun I've had this past weekend. So
Is finding
That's-
a new Lego source close to the house?
exactly.
Well, close to the house, John, means an hour away rather than an hour and a half. So
Right.
You know,
It's
it's good to have
relatively
Lego
speaking.
connections. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
Ethan, we
awesome.
are
That's good
Kip.
news.
Kip and I are as you know from all of us, we're all members of SC Bricks. John being based up in the Greenville area. Kip and I are in Columbia, South Carolina, and we are in what I like to refer to as a Lego desert.
Yeah.
We're an hour and a half from the closest Lego related piece of content
Oh,
whatsoever.
it's the same here except for my own shop. It's I think we got Music City Bricks is just over an hour away. The Lego store in Nashville will probably be the closest official Lego store. And then there's a
Yeah, you're
Bricks and
based out of
Minifigs there in Nashville too, but I haven't been to that one yet.
So you're close to Nashville.
What
Yeah.
city are you based out of?
We're in Cookeville. So we started
Oh.
in Knoxville, Tennessee,
Yep.
which is what the K in K-Town comes from. And
Sweet.
Yeah.
Makes
Well, I'm
sense.
going to tell you,
Awesome.
I'm going
That
to
was
make
Yeah.
a point of visiting
Mark
you
that
next
question
time.
off my list.
yeah,
Yeah,
we
I'm going to visit you in Cookeville. 'Cause
yeah.
I go up there.
Yeah.
I do. So
We quickly outgrew what I could afford in Knoxville in terms of commercial real estate, and so Cookeville's like an hour down the road from Knoxville, and that's a lot. We can do more with what we got in Cookeville.
Mhm.
So
yeah.
Yeah, I
Well, it's
guess
a
we
great
can.
place to live too. I don't know if you live there, but I've heard a lot about it. So
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I guess
But yeah.
when you're business, you do a lot of online business too. You can kind of be
Yeah.
anywhere if the bulk of your business is if you're not worried about foot traffic or anything.
Yeah, it's kind of funny. Our building's on Main Street in Cookeville, and I don't think anybody knows that that's what's in there. And we're not really open to the public. It's a warehouse where I don't know. There's lots of machines, lots of stuff.
Do you have a showroom? Do you have a showroom or anything? Or
We don't. No, not really. Like we've had people be like, "Hey, I want to come to the shop," and we'll like kind of set up the show stuff in one of the rooms. But then we have to tear it down because we need the space for other stuff.
Well, that sounds fun, like a fun place to be. Is just to be
John said he
observing
wants
what's
to
happening.
come next
Yeah, I
time
know,
he's up there for work. He
know.
wants to drop by.
Yeah. Let me know. We'd love to have you. And
Yeah.
we might get around to opening a little storefront somewhere. I've been, playing with the idea of it.
Yeah.
That would be
Well,
fascinating. I know we'll get into it here. So, John, go ahead and I've got my questions, but I'll save. John, what's been going on in your
I
Lego
want
life,
to talk
man?
about what I've been doing. So I want to put out a little. Since Atlanta BrickCon, we've gotten a lot of feedback from our collaborative build, the trailer park and the tornado. So I have a spoiler alert. I just got finished building the excavator. And the excavator is going to be, I might during a 20-second pause run over and get it and show it to you guys. But it is our future water ski park with the excavator in the middle of the river or the lake.
The thing of beauty, John.
It's a thing of beauty, and I'm going to motorize it, which will be even better. So
I was about to ask, have you motorized it yet?
No, I don't. And Kipp, you and I will have to talk about that. But
you
I
have to make
built.
it go just a little too fast.
Yeah, and I have it built. It looks great, and I'm ready to put the next phase together. So the collaboration continues. So that's what my week in Lego was, among other things. But that was the thing I'm most excited to share.
That's exciting. That's awesome,
I'm looking
man.
forward to it.
Yeah.
Heck yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to dive right in then because I have questions for Ethan because I'm fascinated with individuals such as yourself, entrepreneurs just to begin with, of going out and kind of doing your own thing. But within the Lego community, you're printing, doing custom prints and custom figs and things like that. It's a fascinating process that most people in the community have come to love. What does that process look like? Like, you've got pad printing, you've got other printing methods.
Yeah.
What do you utilize?
So, I mean, I think we kind of have the capabilities to do just about any of the types of printing that are done for custom Lego. We've got UV, we've got pad. We do the custom accessories with injection molded parts. We do some 3D printing for prototyping. We don't really sell any of those products, but there's always the big debate over UV versus pad, and we try to use like which application is best for what product we want to make. And so obviously the pad has got that Lego feel. It's what Lego does. It's an analog type printing process. You got a plate for every color. All your colors are mixed up by hand, stamped one at a time onto the minifigure. It's some really tedious work, but it gives you that really, really, Lego feel for your product. And then we also have UV that we do a lot for our historical stuff. We're not limited by colors with that. If we have some customers that are some really diehard historic history buffs, and God forbid we start cutting some colors out from some crests, and I'm partially that way too. It doesn't look right if I make King Henry and he doesn't have all the colors on his crest. It's just not right. And so that's when we'll utilize the UV
I love
printing.
that you put that detail into it too, though. So that's awesome.
Yeah. I do all of our artwork. That's kind of the one thing that I won't give
Oh,
up.
very nice.
Do we have either 9 or 10 right now people at KTown, including myself? I think it's 10. And I've given up a part of every single piece except for the design work. I've designed every single figure, every single part, every single weapon we've put out.
Very cool.
That is impressive, man.
That's
'cause
impressive.
I was seeing what you had at the show and going through your catalog, before we scheduled the recording tonight. There's a lot. You guys got a lot of stuff.
Yeah,
man. So
yeah.
your hands being on everything, but that's also I admire that, because that's kind of the mark of a creator or an artist, is you want some sort of involvement. Creates that quality control.
Creative control
Right.
too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, very good.
How long has K-Town been in I guess, how long have you been doing this?
In production.
So
So
Yeah.
in production, well, I started KTown Bricks as like an LLC in 2015, but we weren't doing this. I was selling on Bricklink. I was selling at shows. I had a booth at Brick Fair, Alabama, Brick Fair, Virginia. Just kind of selling the stuff from my Bricklink, buying sets on clearance, parting them out, taking the figs to shows. I'd buy used parts on Facebook Marketplace before everybody blew up the market for that. I think I
Found
haven't
it,
looked
yeah.
lately, but yeah. I don't think you're getting super great deals on there anymore. But we did that from 2015 through 2019 and I purchased the first printer in 2019. So and we kind of
So
had
when-
some overlap after that.
So primarily it was Bricklink store, which we've got a lot of members of SC Bricks. We've got a few members that have big stores as well. And to your point, at those Facebook Marketplace and different deals is like fodder for those stores. So what got you into buying the printer? Were you just like, I want to try it, or
Yeah, what's the
like,
gateway
what was the
to that?
shift from
So
Bricklink to
back
printing?
at that point, I was still like a massive mock builder, and the only downside to the printing is I don't get to build as many mocks, and but I think I've come to enjoy the printing and the designing in its own way. And I was trying to do these medieval builds, and I'm like, nobody has like Crusader knights with historical factions. And I was like, I had contacted one company to see if like I did artwork, and I'm like, oh, how much would it be to print this? And it was really expensive. And then I'm like, okay, I was, pretty ambitious. I'm like, all right, I can get a printer. I can do this
Insert
myself.
entrepreneur.
Yeah. And I found a company in Kentucky that had like some used equipment that they'd used to print. They like made custom guitars, and they didn't need this equipment anymore. And so I went up there and looked at it, and they let me run test prints on it, and decided to buy it and loaded it in my car and brought it back home, and just started tinkering around with it. That was in 2019. And then
What were you first printing when you first started?
Templar Knights, Teutonic Knights, that kind of stuff. And then
By the way, those look amazing. The one that you see in your catalog right now is just freaking awesome looking.
Yeah. I think that's like the fifth
The
edition
fifth
of
version.
that.
Yeah.
Like we have a case. I have one at the shop that's got one of every figure we've ever made, and it's all like in order of which ones we did.
That's so cool. The history of.
Yeah. We've been working on like a series of videos around the shop, and we call it the Hall of Figs. And so I got a banner to put up on the wall, and we're gonna do a video about it, talking about some of my favorites from it.
How many different figs do you think you've made?
I honestly don't know at this point. They're in you guys know the digs for figs cases?
Yes.
Yeah, yeah. I've
I
got.
don't. Tell me,
That's
what are
what
the digs for figs?
they're just display cases for
Yeah.
minifigs. They're a
Oh,
UK
okay.
company, and like they're nice. The doors open, and they have like 8x6 plates in there, and so we've got 2 of those almost full
Mm.
of just the full figs that I've designed.
John, that question was almost like, how many parts are in this build?
Right.
Yeah,
How
yeah.
long did it take you to build it?
Yeah, and I'm sure
Yeah.
that is not even complete because every once in a while, like somebody will send me a picture of something or tag me in a picture. I'm like, I actually don't know if I have that fig. So
Can you like explain what it feels like to have, as an artist, your product out as much as you do? I mean, considering that you've created every single one of these, you have thousands and thousands of figs out there that you've created. I mean, what's that like?
yeah, it's pretty crazy. I know of I know a couple of people that we've actually made the figs of have the figs that we've made.
Oh, no
Like
way.
for the Fallout, like one of our customers went to like a meet and greet with, I guess, Ella Parnell or something, got one signed for me, and then I think gave her one,
Nice.
which is pretty cool. And
Yeah,
then
everyone, you should make that, like, if you want to meet someone, just make a fig of them,
yeah,
and then
yeah,
and then you advertise it and push it, and then
right,
eventually,
right,
your world will come together.
You literally manifest it by creating
Yeah,
the fig.
yeah,
that's right.
yeah,
That's a trip. Wow. I think, I think Lego as an art is, um, it's the way I've always looked at it myself. I mean, I'm a collector, but I'm also an artist, and I feel that, Lego is a way to express yourself. And over the years, I've always appreciated the printed stuff beyond Lego, like everything that wasn't a part of Lego.
Yeah.
And so I know that the market's been interesting because Lego's really clamped down on what you can and can't do
right.
with their elements.
Mhm.
And so you've successfully navigated that. And on your website you have disclaimers and things like that. But how has Lego impacted your business? Has it been a net positive, or has it been a challenge?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's easier for us now than it ever has been, especially in the last 2 years, Pick a Brick opening up to like the new and improved system versus what it was before. I mean, now we can go on and buy, tons of parts that we need.
So you can buy directly from Pick a Brick now.
Yep, yep.
So no more having to kind of like look at Brick. Well, I mean, probably Bricklink is still a source, I imagine, for some
Yeah,
unique
yeah.
things that aren't available. But so Pick a Brick is that your primary source for?
Yeah, I think it is. And we have a couple of, there's a couple of big European Bricklink sellers that we buy a lot of stuff from too. But mainly Pick a Brick. They came in this morning and we had a 20,000 piece Pick a Brick order that of course was only in 3 bags. And so
Do
we
you
had like
do you get to claim the VIP points on that account?
Yeah, I do. That's
Ooh.
that's
Ooh.
my favorite part of the compensation, and I always cash those out for all the big boy sets.
Did you see the one that's out
Perks,
now?
man.
Which
The
one?
little there's the new space tram, space baby tram.
I haven't seen that. No.
Yeah,
It'll sell out pretty quick.
Yeah.
It's one of the cash in your points. It's not a
Right,
gift with purchase. But yeah, that just came out today, and I don't anticipate it'll be on long.
I already
Yeah.
grabbed mine. I just
I
need
did
to
too.
buy something now to put it on the order.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. So Ethan, John and I in particular, are big classic space guys, and I have been I'm slowly expanding my Space Baby army and creating a Space Baby moon base that I brought
Yeah.
to Atlanta. So this is literally the moment I saw it went live, I went and done.
Yeah.
Because that is the next expansion to the Space Baby moon base is doing my own custom tram. So
I wonder if those is that tram brick built, or are those
it's brick
tram
built.
pieces?
No,
it
it's
is. So
brick built,
we can make it bigger,
Yep.
right? I thought I saw that. Oh, I'm so excited.
I just got to figure out a way of powering that sucker next.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah. Well, okay. Back to out of the rabbit hole. So sorry, I was thinking about the
we're
amount of
always
points.
gonna
I was
take
thinking about
a
the amount
hard
of
left
points that you
left.
probably had to accumulate. Okay, so all right, let me go back. So now my little entrepreneur hat is on, and I think about, there's a lot of people I'm sure that think about this idea of I'll just go buy a printer and I'll start printing them. But
You've
that,
got to be
that
an artist.
that's what I was gonna say. Like so even the weapons, you design the weapons like the little the retro space gun that I got a bunch of.
So I do all so I sketch them out in Adobe Illustrator, and then I model them in Fusion 360, or I guess it's just called Fusion now, and then program all the tooling for the CNC to cut the molds, and then we inject it.
I predict that you're going to be selling PDFs of your drawings of your elements for people to frame. That's pretty cool, man.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. Like your little like how people do the print up the Lego
the technical drawings.
Patents. The Lego patents and stuff. We need to see the version, the pre-version of the space gun, or the pre-version
the original sketch.
It can get intense because they're all technical drawings. Every like line and relationship to line is all geometrically proven, and it's I don't know. I never thought I'd use all that stuff I learned in high school geometry, but here I am.
Yeah.
Congratulations, you're one of the few, right?
Yeah.
Isn't that funny? It's like, I don't know when I'm going to use this stuff. Like, why am I learning this? I love Lego. Who cares about any of this stuff?
Learn it in the most obscure places, Yeah. So I'm gonna take a moment here real quick, since we're talking about your design process and whatnot. I know you mentioned having a hand in the design of each figure and whatnot. Who comes up with? I'm a huge fan of humor in Lego, and particularly subtle humor in Lego. Who comes up with the writing for all of your fun posters, like missing ring if found, return to Dark Lord, or definitely not a mimic?
Those are all me as well.
Okay, all right,
nice.
So design, product ideas, all that kind of stuff.
I love your potato poster.
Taters. Yeah. I being like a super nerd kind of has its perks in this. I kind of took my nerdiness and monetized it. So
awesome! It's great.
That level of humor is on my is I'm right there with you, man.
Yeah.
So
my favorite thing we've been playing on is the goats, and now that they've brought them back, now I've been stockpiling the goats. We've got like,
what are you going to do with them?
1,200 of those white goats, and I don't know what we're going to do with them yet, but we're gonna come up with something.
I can tell you something John wants, and if you do like a printed version of this, there's 2 people on this call right now that are guaranteed buy them if you do a space goat of some sort.
Some kind of a space goat. Yeah. It's
however you print, just go ahead and reserve them for me and John.
No, we've got some space stuff coming up this summer. Actually, one of the first figures I printed.
Hold on, let me go check my wallet real quick.
And it's like a retro sci-fi girl with like one of the bubble fishbowl.
Oh, nice.
And I printed her like 2 years ago, and this was before we could make the accessories. And we were working with another company to make accessories, and I just couldn't get it how I wanted it. And I'm like, all right, we're just going to wait until I can do it all in-house and do it exactly how I want to do it. And so now we can finally do it that way.
What accessories?
So I've been wanting to make like a crystal ray gun. We made the crystals for the staffs, and I want to make a ray gun that you can like stick a crystal in the back of, and it's like a crystal powered ray gun.
Nice. Very cool. Staff made it to our SC Bricks display, by the way. One of many things I'm sure that are in there that are yours, but it was directing the tornado.
Yeah, those are one of my favorite things I've made to the staffs, and we just finished one last week. It's actually going up on the website this weekend. That's like we molded, like I took the Lego baby head scale and like modeled it, and then put like demon horns on the side of it, and then we molded them in white and printed like skeleton bases on them, and then stuck them on the end of his staff. So you got a little skeleton demon baby staff.
Yeah. And that'll make it on one of the space baby heads.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Look at this. This is preview of what's to come.
Yeah,
I can already. So I'm building it into my budget right now. KTown Q2 order.
Yeah, well, we've been testing this out. We can set this up kind of like the IRS. We take a direct deposit out of your check, and
There you go.
we're playing around with it. Yeah, yeah,
We get a box every month with who knows
yeah,
what,
yeah.
and it's just got lots of
It's
KTown
just
stuff. I
part of
like
one of
that.
the deductions from your payroll
Yeah,
check.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Just keep
Well,
that
you
rolling
army
tab
build, so
going.
it's.
Uh-huh.
I imagine there's some truth to that because you're an army. You're perpetuating army building.
Yeah, yeah,
And I see these pictures. I mean, I got a little bit of army building in me too, but not to the extent that a lot of people do. And I see people that buy hundreds of the same minifig, and they're eventually going to use them for some mock, but they're just collecting armies.
yeah. There's some of these people I'd love to come and see their collection because, they may have more figures in their house than we have in our shop. Like, you know, they don't last very long at our shop. We're shipping orders every day.
Do you
So
get to know many of your buyers like that? I mean, do you kind of get to know
yeah,
people?
yeah. There's some that I knew beforehand, and then I've met a lot after, especially the bigger shows. Atlanta, I was I was worn out at Atlanta. I think I had been like kind of sick the week before, and I had just hired some new people, and I had been training them, and so I would come in, and I would come in early to work with them. We'd work all day, then I stay late to get ready for them the next day, and
Those
I
are
was
exhausting events, man.
yeah. So we were pretty much, as soon as 5 o'clock hit at Atlanta, we were kind of out of there. We were worn
Yeah.
out.
Well, I mean, you mentioned at the beginning of the call that you're kind of in that season right now, and
Yeah.
as I've gotten more involved over the years in Lego conventions, and I start to see some of the same people around. First of all, you mentioned you're at Brick Fair, Virginia. You were at Brick Fair, Virginia in 2021,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yep.
I think that's the first time I saw you because I was there, and I think at that point, and I can almost remember where you were because all of your cool elements that you were selling, all the little trinkets. So I think I have an original order. But so, um, I, I always think that Lego Masters, right? They are on the show. What do they do after the show? And what I've seen is they go out on these conventions and they kind of do the circuit. And then as I've participated in and gone on them, I start to see like these different vendors. And I imagine that's a lot of work. Like, I mean, the online
Yeah.
portion of the business probably seems a lot more appealing at some point, but I know you got to get out there and this is how you do it. And this is how you get out there. But isn't it exhausting?
It's very exhausting, and especially doing shows solo. So I had Abby with me at that Atlanta show, but usually I would only have help for like the big ones. And so like Indianapolis, I'll probably be there solo next week. And it can get really exhausting. And, I think it's helped now that we have, a pretty good team back at the shop, that there's not as much depending on me day to day. So when I'm like, oh, I got to go out of town this week, I can, take a day off or take a half day off in the week before I go. Otherwise, it'd just be, all right,
Too
I'm
much.
working, 50 hours, 60 hours a week. Then I'm going to hit the road, drive to wherever, sell all day, get a little bit of sleep, do it the next day. And, but sometimes, with online, it's easy to get caught up in the negative stuff, and we don't have a whole lot of negative stuff. But when customer service is like, hey, we have this complaint, what should we do? And I'm just like, oh, because I don't want to open a figure and have a problem. So like, I hate it for them as much, but then I'm like, okay, where did we mess this up? Because it happens. But then when you go to the shows and you see why people like things, and they tell you what they're going to do with it, and then ding, light bulb goes off, and it's like, this is what would go great with that, and I bet other people would want it too. And then people tell me their ideas too, and so that's like I get the post show inspiration is what I usually say. I usually am like calling people, like calling my mom or calling friends. I'm like, I got this idea, like while I'm driving home, and that kind of thing.
Oh my gosh, I want to see your sketch pad after a convention.
Yeah.
And your idea pad.
We have two double-sided, like 72-inch whiteboards, and like every day I'm just like writing down ideas, drawing arrows. We kind of have like a roadmap set up for like a year of worth of drops, and then oh, we got to do this, so we'll move something around and put something here, and that kind of thing. It's fun. That's what I enjoy at this point of the business.
I can imagine so.
Yeah, you've built a machine now,
Yeah.
and you get to run the machine, and you're doing something that, I think that for me personally, the thing that I was so interested in talking to you about is like you've built a life around Lego,
Hmm.
and you've built a brand.
Hmm.
You have now inserted yourself into the culture, like you are a thing,
Yeah.
and I think that's really cool. I mean, if you think about how we can impact each other, and I think what makes Lego so special is that there's so many different ways that you can, it can be a part of your life. And so, we haven't talked to too many people that have turned their passion into a business.
Hmm.
And not only that, a successful, thriving business. I'm
Hmm.
making some assumptions, but it doesn't sound like things are going bad. And also,
No. Yeah.
yeah, and also like,
He's like
you're,
arguably too good.
Yeah.
yeah,
They're
and
leaving as
I need a
fast
honestly,
as they're
vacation.
making
I need a
them.
vacation.
right, but you're doing it, man. Like, it's so cool. It's so cool. It's the same like we talked about earlier, bricks and minifigs. I mean, there's
Hmm.
this thing now where people are opening up bricks and minifigs everywhere because they want to turn that passion and ride that wave of Lego. But
Right.
um obviously you're in it for the long haul. Do you do anything else other than Lego printing? Have you diversified? Have you done
Um.
any?
So we do some injection molding stuff for other non-Lego people. We haven't done a whole lot of printing. So with the printing, it's kind of we have our machines kind of really set up for Lego, and to switch between Lego and other things is not really worth the time to kind of switch
Yeah.
between. We we have the Lego printing down to a science, I think. We have over the last probably 2.5 years, we worked with a company to build like a custom printer for
Okay.
printing on Lego, and we have a couple of those now, and we have one more on the way. Um, and so I kind of, from doing this myself for the first couple of years and sitting down and being like, oh, man, I wish I could do this. I wish this was easier. And then sat down and went to one of these companies and said, this is what I'm trying to do, this is what we need for it, and sat down and we built a custom printer for printing on Lego.
Wow, that's amazing.
It's like
So
making a wish come true.
Yeah.
yeah, and then when he sit down and they told me the price, I said, no,
It's
no,
like,
no,
oh.
we can't do that. And then I had to wait another year before I actually bought it.
You're like, I'll be there soon. Thank you.
Yeah,
It's on my birthday wish list now.
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, that's a big deal. I mean,
Yeah.
there's another influence. I mean,
Mhm,
you're shaping an industry in that when you do that, right? Now
mhm,
they're going to market themselves to other potential, brick printers and stuff. So,
mhm.
yeah. All right. So, what what about what you've done so far would you maybe do over? This is just a random question. So you look back and you're like,
Mhm.
okay, I think I would have liked to done this a little bit different, like entrepreneurship, or was it Lego related, or?
Um, I don't know, to be honest. I'm pretty particular about making decisions, and I don't regret a whole lot of decisions that I've made.
Ooh, I like
Um,
that.
That's good. It's very good.
Yeah.
I'm a
Yeah.
very data oriented person. When I'm not designing and I'm not, coming up with ideas, I'm sitting and I'm looking at data. Whether we're looking at, when I have my ideas, just because I have an idea, I need to kind of go and look and see, okay, how does this correlate to other similar products we've done in the past, and how did those products perform? And because we have to decide what batch size we're going to make, because even blank Lego is very expensive. So I try not to
Hmm.
sit on a lot of parts, because we could very easily spend a couple $1,000s a day just burning through parts, printing stuff. And so it's very much sitting down and trying to decide, how much of this we're going to make, how much of that we're going to make. Should we make less of this and plan to restock if it's popular? That kind of thing. And
Are you able to have turnaround pretty quickly and be responsive like that? That kind of approach demands that you're really flexible, right? That you
yeah,
can move on the fly.
yeah, we're pretty flexible with it. We have, a number of machines. So, if we have a really pressing project, pull the schedule for one machine and bump it down a week, and, insert something in. It's not really a huge deal. I try to have everything done like at least a month out. Because after we have the printing done, we have to do the assembly. If the hands have to get changed out on 4,000 minifigs, somebody has to do that.
Oh
And that is
gosh,
not
there's
fun.
no machine that does that.
No, there's no machine that does the hands. And I remember one of our first medieval drops was I did like brigandine torsos in like 10 different colors, and I made like 200 of each color. So it's 2,000 minifigures that I had to put silver arms on and then take the hands off and put dark bluish gray hands on. And I remember sitting at home and I put a Netflix show on and I watched the entire show, like two
The whole
seasons
series?
in
Yeah.
one sitting, putting hands on. I think my fingers were
Just
bleeding by
snap,
the
snap,
time.
flip,
Yeah,
flip.
Yeah,
yeah,
your fingers
yeah.
are calloused for
Yeah,
sure.
4,000 minifig hands and arms on one sitting. And yeah.
Wow.
And then we gotta, if they're full figures, even more than that, legs, torsos, assemble everything.
Legs are hard to get off, by the way.
Yeah.
Legs are probably the hardest to remove.
I know, yeah. We the fairies that we did last year, we did 800 fairies, and I had to sit and take every single one off because like I've done it. There's kind of like a little trick, if you do it wrong, you'll like stress it and then it doesn't fit
Yeah.
nice. And there's a couple of things that I just haven't been able to quite teach them the finesse of how to do it. So I just have to sit there and take hips off all the time.
It's funny. Like I have learned, like I'm holding one right now. I've learned the art of pressing against your other finger.
Yep.
To like not to like to be able to manage the tension
Mm-hmm.
so that you're not pulling on the other elements. You're kind of like pressing against your finger
Right.
for some of these things to pop off. The arms pop off pretty easily.
Yeah.
But also you don't want to your point, stress them, Yeah.
There's
Gosh.
there's like a certain position where the little notch cut out on the arm, if you pull it out at that certain angle, it's like the lowest stress kind of thing.
Huh. Is that why they always come with like from Lego with the spot, like the exact spot? I noticed that they always come like slightly forward.
We got a demonstration here.
That's
right
it. Yes.
Yep. Yeah. And so I just have them go, and they go slightly forward like that, and then just pop it off like that.
Yeah.
And then
I just did that with the same thing.
We've never had an issue with them getting loose from that or anything like that.
What about putting them on though? That's kind of a pain.
Yeah, I can do it. I don't know how to teach anybody how to do that. We have people at the shop that can do it and people who can't do it. It's like it's an
experience thing.
There's some potential
we'll have to put
AMSR
some name tags on and do different colors. Oh yeah, they can't put arms on. Oh man.
I love it.
Too funny.
And,
for me, that arm thing is like I never thought about that. I've never had difficulty putting arms back on because for me, it's just like an angle thing.
Yeah, it's an angle. It's an angle and like where to put the pressure on the arm.
Yeah. I've never thought about that. Legs, I've thought about. Legs are definitely difficult to.
It's almost like you need
off.
to like roll the little knob into the socket. It's kind of how I think about it.
Yeah, that's a good analogy. So
that's good technique.
John's over here picking up tips of the trade. So how do I take my figures apart and put them back together safely? I love it.
Producer, I'm going to make some noise here because my device is about to die, which I didn't think about. So there we go. Thank you. There we go.
Yeah, Ethan, we are a very professional show here.
Well, my brain's going though. I mean, I love the whole entrepreneur thing because now I think about like, so you're data driven. So I'm a sales guy, and I have so much of my life is run by sales metrics, and we talk about things like lead indicators and what you got to do to get the sale and how you get it, and then what happens after the sale, and you're doing it all. Yeah. So you got the creation point to me is so you don't build as much. I heard you talking about that. That kind of stinks because I know that from personal experience, the more that you do with Lego that's not building, the less building you get to do. It's weird.
Yeah.
But like for you, you're now like diving into stats. Like, so what are you diving into? Like how much of what's sold in what a period of time? And
like customer cohort analysis is one of my favorites. To kind of see what brought people and then what brought them back. That kind of thing.
Okay.
That
repeat
that
business.
basically is kind of identifies all of a certain group of customer within a time frame, and then it shows over time oh, these customers bought in this month, and then of customers who bought in January of 2025, how many of those came back in February, how many came back in March, how many came back in that, and then I can kind of look and see, okay, well, this got them in the door, and then what kept them coming back, and
My goodness, I'm looking right now at your military stuff too, the stuff that's not necessarily like Lego theme. It's just so deep. How do you know how to draw this stuff?
I've
Research.
spent
I know.
more hours than I would care to admit on digging through books of all that kind of stuff. I have a whole library of medieval
Weapons.
artifacts, weapons, Napoleonic uniforms, books, all that kind of stuff.
See, that's like the fascinating thing to me, is because we're talking the combination of two obvious passions here between Lego and you obviously have to be passionate about something to research it as many hours as you have been. But on top of that, just the sheer entrepreneurial aspect, just to kind of mimic John on that. That's one of those things that the guys here know. I respect the crap out of entrepreneurs, because that is just something that it's a I don't know if I've got in me. It requires that drive and that dedication and doing it for yourself. And
yeah, it's a grind.
I respect it.
Mhm.
I really,
Thank
really
you.
respect it. So
Yeah, you're the one out there doing everything all the time. That's the thing, and I hope for you that what it turns into is this business that, to your point, you don't have to be the one to go do all the things you have to do. Maybe you just sit back and design, and the machine that you've built is flowing, and you got someone that you can trust in a position, that can make sure that machine's working, and then you can really begin to. But it sounds like, to be honest with you, you like all of it. Like, I can see,
Yeah,
you're totally into all of it.
I like all of it. Like, no
Yeah.
joke, I was trying to figure out, like, if later this week, if there was any time when somebody was going to be, if anybody's gone, it's not even like bad. I'm like, okay, that just means I get to print, because I like to do
That's
it.
awesome.
I get to play around a little bit.
Yeah, it's the pad printing being an analog technique. It's a mystical art, kind of. You gotta, all kinds of variables, and there's not any information about it hardly online. There's more now than when I started, but it was like, when I get on printer, it's like, okay, what can I do that's just like stupid hard, but it's going to look really good, but I'm just going to almost, flex my printing skills by printing this.
Oh man.
Good
Like
little, yes, setting the challenges for yourself.
Yeah, like when we printed the Lucy figure from Fallout, some of the details on the Pip-Boy on the arm, and that's a 7-color print, which is the most colors we've ever put on one single surface.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is a lot.
Yeah.
I got to go look at the Fallout stuff, Eric, because I got stuck on all the night stuff, like all the
stuff's
weapons.
cool. It's really cool.
Yeah.
I want to get a
It's all
question
cool.
in real quick.
Yeah, producer Cole. Producer
What
Cole.
you got, Cole?
Hey, Ethan.
How's it going?
So, I'm just real quick. Did you have a background at all in industrial manufacturing, or?
No, not really. So, I actually did not go to college. I started my company I started when I was in high school with the Bricklink, and then kind of just followed a path and figured out skills I needed. I've taken some, trade school kind of classes for the CAD and CAM and the machining kind of stuff. But
Yes.
I did a lot of freelance photography work after I graduated from high school, for a couple of like local businesses, and one of them asked me to do some graphic design, and so they're like, try out Illustrator, and so then I looked up YouTube videos, figure out how to do what she needed me to do, and then I started drawing some minifigures, thinking I'd make decals or something like that, and went from there.
There you go. Additionally, well, so even though I guess you didn't have the background in industrial manufacturing, it seems like you're taking on a lot of you were talking about CNC machines. So you're doing injection molding and milling as well.
Yep.
What products are like? How do you differentiate the process there?
So we use the process to make our accessories. So any of the molded parts. And so what we basically do is I'll model, the positive form of the weapon or accessory, and then I'll bring that into like a mold base and cut that out, and then we'll take a block of aluminum and mill out that cavity. And we've designed runners to distribute the plastic to the different parts, and then we mill out both halves. They have alignment pins that go together, and then our injection machines have we have a couple different ones with different clamp powers, but you mount both of those halves of the mold together, then the machine closes it, injects ABS plastic into it, opens it up, you got your part, you twist it off or cut it off of the runner. And we can make a mold in 6 to 8 hours of machine time. We have a Haas CNC, and we can run we'll run really, really small end mills, down 1/64 of an inch, running at 30,000 RPM to cut these aluminum molds.
That's crazy. Yeah, no,
I love it.
A little bit of
That's
danger.
So cool.
A little bit of danger when you're.
I could listen to you talk about that. That's so cool. So, do you so when the molds are done, do you take all the pieces off yourself? Or, I mean, or is it like something that does that, like it shakes out or something?
So we have a couple of different kinds. We have some where the mold opens up and just there's a little thing, you pull it out and pulls them out. We have other ones where they're actually ejector pins that'll push through the mold and push the whole thing out. And we always have to twist them off. We don't have anything to do that, but somebody can just sit and they twist the parts off.
Yeah. They're not big parts either.
They're not. No. Like we did the Game of Thrones figures a couple weeks ago, and we made the sword for Jon Snow that was two-toned. The pommel was a different part, and
wow,
that part on the large end was still smaller than an eighth of an inch. So like that's even so holding cool. on to that, it was crazy.
Wow, that's an amazing looking fig too.
These big boy fingers
on my
these
screen
big
right
boy
now.
Fingers.
Yeah.
Hey, by the way, tell me about this one. This is an odd one.
Yeah, that was.
I saw that
so
one.
that head is an idea I had randomly one night, and I think I had probably seen something on YouTube about some kind of conspiracy theory that one of my friends had sent me, and I was like, wouldn't it be funny if there was an alien like unzipping his Lego guy mask? And he's got a little tile. It's like a pamphlet. It says "How to Be Human."
How to Be Human, the manual. I'm definitely getting online and getting that one. I absolutely love that one.
Yeah,
that's classic.
Yeah, I got a feeling, Ethan, you're gonna get at least 4 orders shortly after this.
Yeah.
It just happened.
I've already got a shopping cart made. It's
I love it.
I got to figure out what I can really afford right now.
So I do want to change up gears a little bit. Ethan, you've taken your passion and made it in your career from multiple fronts, and you did it. Sounds like from quite literally the word go. But we, on this show, we like to learn about everyone's Lego journey, kind of what got them to where they are, what started them on the path of the hobby. So tell us a little about your Lego journey, man. What got you into Lego?
So I had some like hand-me-down Lego that was my cousin's from the 90s that was like insectoids and some castle stuff from the 90s.
Some insectoids.
And Ice Planet, insectoids,
yes.
Ice Planet, and a little bit of castle stuff. And I remember getting my first new Lego set with my grandmother in 2005, one of the Revenge of the Sith sets, like the one with the Buzz droid.
Okay. Cole's nodding his head. He's our resident. I'm a Star Wars guy, but he is the Lego Star Wars guy in this group. So
it's the Jedi Interceptor.
Yeah,
pretty sure.
Yeah. No, this one was the droid tri-fighter one, not the one.
That's correct. That's correct.
Yeah.
Correction. He was just a Lego Star Wars guy in this group.
He was just testing you. Good job, Cole. Way to keep him straight.
And so I remember that, and then I remember like after that, it never ended. I already got Lego for my birthday, and then I started. I went to the convention in 2012. I never had a dark age. It's just I started and I never stopped. So
I love it. I love it. Do you have a huge Lego collection personally,
I
or have you thinned it
I
out?
do. I do.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
most of it's at my mom's house right now in her
Stuck there.
basement. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah. I
oh, that's fun. That's
if we
fun.
ever move into a bigger shop, I'm gonna carve out some space for it. I have a corner of our shop right now that's like all my sorted parts. So when
Yeah.
I, want to go build a scene for something, um I
That's
can do that.
mocking. I mean, that's pretty cool
Yeah,
to
yeah.
do that. I mean, we do a bunch of like vignettes and stuff with
Mhm.
SC Bricks. We try and do, little scenes to help encourage people to build. And we've got some members, like Steve Firestein. He does a bunch of Lego photography, and
Yeah.
that is part of the art, in my opinion. I think that's
Oh, yeah.
a
Yeah.
skill set.
I I haven't done this in a couple years, but my Instagram, like my personal Lego Instagram, is ekjohnson1, and I did a lot of setting up scenes and lighting and that kind of stuff. I would build a scene and then almost do like forced perspective kind of stuff for backdrops and um sorry, and then set up the lights, and so I haven't built in probably 2 years, anything like that, but that is something I have done since starting the company to kind of keep in the mocking. And I guess I still do it to a degree with, our product scenes that we post. There's a lot of people out there that'll do, white background photos. I kind of prefer the immersive marketing of, oh, here's a minifigure, this is what it might look like in a scene if you build a scene for it, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
It gives them, they can visualize what it would
Yeah.
look like in something they did. That's a good way of doing it.
Yeah.
Because there's context. You've got size context, you've got color context. I like that a
Yeah.
lot.
And then
I like that.
recently I've been doing these little animated scenes where I'll build like a long scene, put a couple minifigs in it, some accessories, and then the camera pans from one side to the other, and it kind of reels perform well on Instagram, but then it also
Do you post those on Facebook and Instagram?
Yeah,
I gotta go look at those. Those would be fun to
Yeah.
watch.
Yeah, so I've got a whole board of ideas. So we've got new potions coming out later this year, so I've been working on a little potion shop scene, and it's just going to pan across and show the potions, and then we'll have a little book that's potion instructions and that kind of stuff.
That's so cool.
All right. Now you have, God, look at you, 26,000 followers.
Yeah,
Congratulations. That's
Thank you.
fantastic.
Thank you.
Now you got 26,001. I guess I just, it's funny, as digital as I am in my world, and my work, and my life, I still don't get out. These are amazing images.
Thank you.
King Arthur. That's the one I picked up from you.
Yeah.
And
I've got,
ABC.
on the King Arthur note,
It's only a flesh wound.
I have got to get the Black Knight. That is, yeah,
Yes.
that's a must for me.
Yes.
That was.
I didn't even hesitate when I saw that one. That ages myself though. And then it's funny. All three things that I got from you are literally back to back to back.
Yeah. Yeah.
I guess I'm in.
We've been doing a reprint of the Killer Rabbit packs too, so those will be up soon.
Yes.
And
also, you have the printed windows.
Yes.
Yes.
Yep.
Those are also your product, right? So I've seen a bunch of different people doing them. Like Citizen Brick has some. There's a couple of the ones that are doing them. The ones I got from you, and I'm looking at your website, is you use a lot of the actual factions of Lego. Is there any challenge with that, or is it pretty much free?
Yeah, I don't. We've not had a whole lot of issue with it. I'm still kind of picky and choosy. I don't. I'm not gonna.
I'm gonna get some of the Lion's Night stuff.
Lego's not making those stained glass, so that's
no.
Right. But we're not gonna sit down and print the army builders like you can get from Lego. That's kind of we're not gonna do that. And
do you buy mostly white bricks, or or torsos, or like do you buy them for the color? I'm looking at a bunch of different ones. So you buy them all kinds of colors.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
we have
man.
An entire wall, like the silver food storage kind of shelves like you get at Sam's Club or something. I think we have like 7 or 8 of those on a wall that's just filled with blank parts.
All right, I'm down the rabbit hole, so I know what I'm doing after this. I'm going to be watching these videos of your torsos being printed.
Yeah.
John,
Yeah.
we
Shame on
are
me for
still
not doing better
we're
research. My
still live
goodness.
right now. Come
I
back to
know.
us, John.
Come back. I'm
Come back.
sorry.
Come back.
It's so cool. Come on. Yeah. Okay. I'm back.
Well, you've definitely found a couple more fans here, Ethan.
Yes, for sure.
That much is for certain.
I
Well,
love
hey,
the story for sure. Yeah.
yeah. So a couple more questions just to kind of get to know you a little better. You know, we kind of got a little bit of your history and Star Wars and sets everything. What would you say your favorite theme would be?
You just took my question.
It'd have to be Lord of the Rings.
Okay, all right.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, having before getting to know you a little bit, if I had to make a guess just based on your products, it would have been something in the medieval spectrum.
And
Yeah.
Lord of the Rings is kind of I'm bad. I'm a collector, and so maybe like 10 years ago, before Lego Star Wars got so out of control that you can't collect every
Couldn't
single one
collect it
now.
all.
No, I have every single Lord of the Rings figure, and yeah, Lego will hear me and they'll pop up so many sets that I can't get them all now. But I won't be complaining because I
Cranking out a big set every year for the
Yeah.
last couple years.
Yeah.
So
Right.
that's what I save my VIP points for.
there you go.
That's smart.
Yeah. The Rivendell is the only set that made it to my bedroom. It's in my bedroom on my bookshelf.
Nice.
That's a huge set.
It's an
Yeah.
awesome
yeah, it's
set
on top
too.
of the bookshelf.
All that tile work on those roofs. Oh,
Yeah. Yeah.
Wonderful.
That's you do that while watching a Netflix movie too.
So what would be your favorite set if you had to pick one right now? Whether
Maybe
you
the
have it or not.
Rivendell. Yeah. Maybe the Rivendell, or maybe the D&D set. I really
The new
like
D&D.
that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. That
Yeah.
I've been building that one a little bit at
Yeah.
a time over the last couple
Yeah.
weeks.
That
It's-
set made it on my personal
It's-
top. We did a top list, a top
Right
set
here with me right now.
2024. Very nice. And that
John-
set made it on my top list of last year. That's a
John
great set.
brought that set to one of our lug meetings and everybody pitched in and helped
We
build
built
a
it together.
part of it.
Yeah.
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 That's a fun build.
Yeah, I think I like it too because I like the design of the minifigs.
Yes.
I've become
That-
more of a minifigure. I don't want to say critic, but like, when there's a good minifigure, I can appreciate it.
Well, that
Did you
whole
get
CMF line of the D&D series was freaking awesome, I thought.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Got that on display right up there up top. My whole line.
So did you get any Beastmaster minifigs?
Any what?
Any of the Beastmaster minifigs, the Wolf Pack,
Yes.
the ones that are out
Yep.
now?
Yep.
That's a hot item.
I found a guy on Bricklink that had just the wolf, and I have about 150 of just the wolf that we're going to use for something special. So
I will be waiting for that because that wolf is
I
awesome.
spend way too much time on Bricklink. I am I could probably find something on Bricklink faster than
That's
We think
part of
we
the
had
job.
problems. It sounds like he has
Yeah.
a bigger problem.
That's a dangerous game for us. For him, that's just business on a
It's
tip.
just business.
I know, that's so cool.
there was one time when this was probably 2022, and my cousin was in like the state soccer tournament, and I was riding with them to the game, and I was just looking on Bricklink, and some guy popped up and had like 30 of the original goats for less than $70. And I was just like, oh my gosh, I gotta buy these right now, and then I'll deal with it later. I bought $2,000 worth of goats in one sitting, and then I'm like, this might be it for me. Maybe KTown bought the goats, and we're not the goat we think we are. We're gonna go bankrupt from buying goats. But it all worked out. It all
Drove the
worked
price
out.
up of goats.
Yeah.
You're like, why are goats so expensive? Well,
you know what,
KTown really controls the market.
Yeah.
The secondhand market. Wow.
I can totally see that. And I think we've all had similar conversations to that with ourselves after making a massive in the moment purchase for a deal that we just couldn't pass up. And then you literally look at this and you're like, this is my life of buying
Yeah.
$2,000 worth of plastic goats.
There was one time a couple years back when the light nougat heads were kind of scarce, or to get them plain, and they weren't on Pick a Brick, they weren't anywhere, and like one of these guys in Germany like popped up with like 30,000 of them, and I at around that time there was like some bad light nougat heads going around that like didn't have good grip, that somebody had gotten from a factory reject or something. And so I
Yeah.
like emailed this Bricks Link seller. I'm like, hey, are these the good ones? And he like sent me a video of them. And then I bought 30,000 flesh heads. And
He knew what you were talking about when
yeah,
you
he
said, "Are
did.
these the good ones?"
And
He's like, "Oh yeah,
sure enough,
das ist gut, yeah, yeah."
yeah. And sure enough, I spent more than I paid for my car on flesh heads in one sitting. And I did
But you
not. I
used
did
them and
not
you used them
sleep
for
that night.
inventory.
Yeah.
And then, of course, Customs probably held them because they all look like some kind of drug coming from across the pond.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
I just
You know,
imagine that you put yourself out there and you don't know what you're doing, but you're like, this is a good deal on these. I'll figure it out later.
Yeah. One thing I will say, going back to the, what I wish I had done better, and, is maybe planning in the early stages, because I have parts that I bought a long time ago and I still haven't used and still haven't figured out what to use them for. And so now we're a lot better. I kind of have an idea of every minifigure I'm going to make through the end of the year with a buffer for things that pop up, pop culture or whatever. Like the Fallout last year, I had not planned on making those until I started watching the show, and I'm like, well, I played Fallout 10 years ago. Now, it's
Here
hot
we go.
again.
Yeah.
I started playing Fallout 4 again after the show came out, and
Well, that's where that, like as you said, you learn and the experience comes just as you do it, of the things in pop culture that pop up that you realize can pop off, or things that are in the moment where you don't necessarily have to dedicate a whole bunch of stock to, but it's something that someone's going to want in the moment. So
Right.
that's I mean, that takes that experience and that eye, so it's a combination of the art plus the business.
Yeah.
That's awesome, man. It's awesome.
Yeah, we've got a project like that we're kind of working on in secret right now. It'll probably be up in a week or two. A pop culture thing relevant on social media right now. But
So set calendar for
no.
set calendar
I have
for
an
a week
idea or
from
two.
now.
yeah.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, Ethan, man, before we start winding down, I mean, is there anything you want to know about us, man? About Brick Lounge, SC Bricks?
Yeah, I guess I know I've met a couple of you guys at the show. I know I've met some other guys from the lug at the. I used to do the Brick Universe shows down when they had them down there in South Carolina, and but yeah, I don't know. I guess I don't really have any
We're
questions.
not that interesting,
Yeah.
Ethan.
So
It's fine.
I actually have have you ever thought about doing, because this is something that I've been working on since I really got back into Lego, because my Dark Ages came about ending right around COVID, like a lot of people did. But one of the big things that I started doing beyond City was an amusement park. Do you ever possibly plan on doing any kind of clowns or anything like?
I don't know about that.
It's
I
a
don't know.
special. It's a special
Maybe-
route.
Yeah, maybe not. I mean, like maybe more medieval type clowns.
Like a
Dude, that would
jester.
work too.
Yeah,
Like a almost. Yeah, like a jester.
I'm pretty I'm pretty picky about what we make, and usually everything we make has to be something that I want myself to, because I kind of, if it's something that I don't know about or don't really have a passion for, I kind of think that
How
that
about a
lack
zombie
of passion.
clown?
Yeah, maybe.
I
Maybe
really
that's
actually
better.
am wanting to do my amusement park, turn it into Zombieland. That's what I want to do with it eventually.
Kips,
But
And
that's
that's
going
the
to take
reason
a
we
lot
had
of
on the show
zombies.
tonight, was to try and get you to make some zombie characters for Kipp's
I got to beg
amusement park.
sometimes.
I don't know. I'm everybody's on the zombie train, but I'm on the orc train. I like the orcs.
There you go.
I like the orcs too.
Well, that's
yeah.
your
kind
Lord
of-
of the Ring feel. I get it.
yeah. I mean, if there's if we start a project and I really just don't have the passion for it, then that project doesn't get finished, and that's
Yeah.
and so I
Because
just
it's
kinda,
all you.
Understand that too. Yeah,
Yeah.
because it's
Yeah.
you and your creative thought process. So I get it.
yeah.
Well, and to be
Yeah.
honest with you, man, that's a good thing, because
Yeah.
it's one of those, you have to have that drive and passion and want to learn about it. If you just
Yeah.
start doing things just
Just to
cause,
do it.
you
Yeah.
eventually it's going to eventually wouldn't end up selling well, or
Right.
you would lose the motivation. I mean, so yeah, no,
Yeah,
your motivations for why you choose the products you do is I think is great.
Yeah, I think, if I think the passion shows through in the product, and if we don't have the passion, I don't think it holds up to the rest of our stuff. And
yeah.
my favorite part of the week is when we finish a figure and I get to put it in the case. And
Nice.
I'm I'm
That's the
running around the
collector in
shop. I'm
you.
like,
That's
oh my
really
gosh,
neat.
look at this guy. He's so cool. And everybody at the shop's like, yeah, we know. We just printed him for the last week. There's
Yeah,
1,000 of them.
You're like,
Yeah.
no,
I
but
don't ever want to
seriously,
see
look at
this
him.
again,
But this is the final product. You just saw the
Yeah.
pieces that it was going through.
Yeah, I can't
Yeah.
communicate.
I have to put
They're
one more
like, I
picture
cannot
on here.
communicate how
Eric,
little I can.
have you seen this one, Eric?
Yeah, I just saw that one.
Another
Yeah.
one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's a similar head with a mustache on it, which
Yeah,
I think is
yeah.
funny.
Anyway,
Yeah.
sorry.
But well, before we wrap up, Ethan, when's the next show? To date this episode will probably end up coming out, in about a month. But for
Okay.
our knowledge, when's the next show that you're going to be at?
So we will be at Brick World Indy, which is March 14th through 16th.
Okay.
And then we'll be at Brick World Chicago, which I believe is the weekend or the week around June 14th. I'm not exactly sure. That's a long show, Wednesday through Sunday.
Any chance you might come down to Greenville in November with Nick's group?
Maybe. I got to talk to him about that. We've done a couple of their shows. I'd love to see if I could get a crew that could help me out with some of the shows, and that might allow us to do some more.
Yeah.
And
Well, we hope to
Let
see
them
you
do
at
the
one of them.
legwork and you do the fun part, like getting all the inspiration from all the fans, right?
Yeah. No, somebody to help me with the drive, somebody to help me with the setup, all that kind of stuff.
Mhm.
Yep.
That makes sense.
Well, that's awesome, man.
Yeah.
Well, Ethan, where can everyone find your? Of course, we've got KTownbricks.com. Where can our listeners find you?
Yeah, so KTownbricks.com. You can find us on Instagram at KTown Bricks. We're KTown Bricks on pretty much every social media: YouTube, TikTok, Instagram. I think we have a Twitter that I probably don't update, but
But you can find him anywhere else.
yeah.
You can find us on the Twitter, but it's not necessarily the most up-to-date information.
Yeah, I don't know. I used to use it, and then I'm like, well, it's kind of weird for me to just write about these minifigs when they can go to Instagram and see them.
See everything.
Yeah.
Right there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Type out we made a cool minifigure. It looks like this. It's blue. I don't know.
Yeah, that's the one thing I've seen with the Lego community in particular. Instagram seems to be where it's at.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know?
Even more than TikTok.
Yeah, which is wild. But anyway, well, Ethan, thank you so much, good sir. This was fun. I loved getting to know you in particular a little bit more, as well as the behind the scenes peek behind the curtain for how you run your business, how you do your printing. I mean, everything from the beginning. The fact that you started this just straight out of high school, man. I cannot communicate how
That's
impressive that is to me.
awesome. I would have never been able to do something like that coming straight out of high school.
No, I mean, I've always considered myself a relatively mature kid when I was growing up, and fresh out of high school, Eric would not have. Granted, 36-year-old Eric is nervous about starting his own business, but high school Eric definitely wouldn't be the case. So that's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah.
It's been really
Props
really
to
neat
you,
to see
man.
that.
Props
Thank
to
you.
Yeah.
Thank you guys.
And
for
I've
having me.
seen having never had the pleasure of meeting you until now, or being familiar with K-Town until Atlanta. Looking at all your products, your stuff is everywhere, man. I have seen your stuff in mocks all over the internet and in person, and just had no idea where it originated from. So
From his brain, right here.
Yeah,
right
it's all
now,
from his brain.
now I know the artist
all off the
behind it.
dome.
Yeah.
I love it.
So that is
I'm
beautiful.
gonna draw some more tiles this week. I'll let you guys know about one. One of the ideas is gonna be a portal, and it says "Portal of Pure Chaos." Admission $1, no refunds.
Okay, we
Oh,
need Green Woody to grab
yes.
that because he just did a humongous good and evil portal scene.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah,
Yeah, he
and
did.
I got my portal right behind us. You can see
Yeah.
it, but that's a
Yeah.
portal right there that I use for
I
going into
love
the
it.
dreams world.
That's
That's
really
awesome.
cool.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, thanks for the. The other thing is, I found one of these. By the way, one of these. I found one in a random pickup, like a lot. So somebody bought it and it ended up random. I never knew where it came from until I saw this.
Yeah.
That's such a cool one. Anyway,
That's
all right, I know
awesome.
we got to go, guys. We could talk
yeah.
like all of our awesome guests. We could just talk forever.
Talk forever, you
I
know.
know.
But John, Kipp, anything else before we wrap up?
No,
Man,
thank you very
it's been
much.
fun.
Ethan.
Thanks for being with
Yeah.
us. It's awesome.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yep.
Perfect.
Yep.
Perfect. Well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for listening to this episode of Brick Lounge with Ethan from KTown Bricks. If you liked what you listened to on this episode, don't forget to like, subscribe, Instagram, YouTube. You can find us on all the major podcast platforms. Tell your friends. We love doing interviews like this. And of course, we love just getting together and joking around. So until next time, Kipp.
Bricks down, ladies and gentlemen.
Bricks down.